Hold on. Whoa, level check. I got to do a level check. Boy, I'm unprofessional, Jacob. I got Jacob Rountree on today. Jacob, how's it going?
I'm doing well, brother. How are you?
Oh, yeah. You know how to use a microphone.
Yes, sir.
I'm doing good. I knew you were going to. I knew you were going to know how to use a microphone.
Nice.
So I'll have family on here, and they'll be like, well, I was trying to, and then I had to, and then I had to, like, just stay by the microphone, okay?
Yep. I do a lot of, whenever I do private gigs, I guess public speakers sometimes want to talk.
Yes.
And it's so atrocious sometimes. Just one guy wants to hold it down at his belly button, the next person wants to scream into it. And it's like, I can't help you out on that. I don't know.
Jonesy's going to come up and give a speech about the bride now.
Yeah.
So anyway, I knew Carrie since '98. All right, put it close, dude.
Yeah.
But then usually they have money, so you don't want to tell them what to do.
Yeah, I'm their servant for the day. I'm getting hired, so it's like I'm not here to be your teacher too much. But
I'm low level servant, but you're getting to higher level servant.
If
right?
that means anything.
But you do this for a living.
Yeah, I've been full time about 6 years now. Full time music.
Yeah.
Full time servant. Yeah.
Isn't it interesting? I had not played any private gigs or anything until I'd run into you at the Beast of Bozeman.
Yep. I know. What a weird way to meet, but a fun way.
Yeah. And I remember seeing you guys, and I'm like, hey, this guy knows what he's doing. And then we all thought you were cool, like the few of my tribe that showed up.
Sweet.
And my brother, Jabin, this is a good sign. He's 22, and he's like, that Jacob guy is really good. I'm like, yeah, he is good. He is really good. And then I'm kind of pulling for you guys. And then, anyway, that was an interesting experience.
That was a very interesting experience. I originally got asked just to help promote it. Just being connected to the scene, but I was kind of broke, and I was like, hey, why not? Maybe it's a new market, new industry, a new just kind of crew of people I could connect with. But it was definitely high school talent show vibes. But it was fun. I was happy to meet people like yourself, where it was just a little more diverse, and it was an experience for sure.
It's so funny because I feel like we can't get all the way in the weeds because you still have to work in this town.
Yes, absolutely. No, I'm not trying to talk down on
no,
it.
you're not.
There's amazing talent involved.
I'm the one.
Nice.
I'm the one, not you. I think you're nicer than me. But like, I'll just say this. Getting beat out to middle-aged dance troupe, man.
Yeah, nice.
Okay, everybody, matching sweatpants. Let's go. But
Let's ride.
But you're right. It was cool though. Like it was cool to meet people and get that. So, but you'd been doing it for a while before that because that was what 22 or something. Was it 23?
I don't even know.
I don't know.
A couple of years back for sure.
It all blends together.
Yeah. I would just kind of was wanting to, honestly, I have a bucket list going on just for checking off local stages.
Yeah.
And I was like, that'd be a cool way to play the theater. And truly, I mean, I've gotten to do some work with the Emerson arts kind of community, and they're so awesome that I was more than happy to try it out. But definitely a little off brand for what the band normally does.
Let me see if I can read this correctly. I had to quick find your bio because you sent it to me a while ago.
Yeah.
And I'm going to read it. I'm going to try and read it professionally, but I might slip up. Jacob Rountree is an alternative indie songwriter living in the stunning Alpine of Montana. Contemplative yet playful, his lyric forward style is reflective of his love for philosophy, poetry, and quantum physics. His performance can be described as warm and comforting, almost like a welcoming hug from a family member. I resonate with that one.
Nice.
Gifted Balance Records said that. Jacob has a contagious soul, presents itself through raw vocals of impressive range, beautiful timbre, mesmerizing percussive fingerstyle guitar, and a balance of catchy yet complex polyrhythms. Rowntree's unique production style is that of Bob Dylan meets Pink Floyd, ranking the integrity of his music with contemporary artists such as Bon Iver. Is that how I say it?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Bon Iver, Ben Howard, and Shaky Graves. I got all those vibes too.
Nice.
I told you when I first heard you, I said, Nashville Skyline, Bob Dylan.
Yep.
It's there.
Sweet.
And I think it's great. But anyway, in 2022, Rountree released his second full-length album, As I See It, which was nominated Top Local Albums, Top 10 Indie Albums of the TJPL News, and received copious write-ups and reviews from around the world. Jacob Rountree, this is a quote, presents us with a deep, enigmatic work that transports us to another world. Rountree's deep philosophical, lyrics, chords getting in my way. Philosophical lyrics and poetry are filled with deep introspection. They could be released as a separate booklet in their own right. Sinusoidal music? Is that how I say it?
So.
Sinusoidal. Yeah. That's cool. Well, he has been nominated Best Solo Artist and Best Folk Musician of Bozeman. Jacob has been investing his time with building his full bands, Jacob Rountree and the Something's reputation with multiple tours of clubs and festivals across the region. I wanted to read that because I actually got your bio. And it's all true, man.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone through a few iterations of that bio, and I don't know. It's a little weird to write about yourself in a braggadocious way, but you have to. It's part of the industry.
You showed me, because I had not even had a concept of playing half the places that, I mean, I haven't played near the places that you have, but the Tap Room in Bozeman and Hot Springs, just different places around town. And I saw it like, wow, that's what he's doing. That's cool. And you're on the rotation all over the place. What are all the places you've played in Bozeman? I mean, not like you can think of all of them off the top of your head.
Most anywhere. I mean, honestly, I've even played down to Staples in Bozeman. I've had some weird gigs in the past.
Cool.
But it's all been fun. As far as kind of common rotation, COVID definitely messed up. Some of the businesses closed down, tons of new ones opened, and then some just didn't last.
Yeah.
So the rotations have changed quite a bit in the last 5 years, but the Tap Room's always a good one. I do love the Bozeman Hot Springs. I guess the Tune Up Bar might be my favorite venue here in town, just a nice basement listening room. Dude, I mean,
You've done 320. You just said Tap Room. You just played up. I follow your Instagram. You just played Way Up High somewhere. What was that one? Or was that a private party? And then you said, "I'm loading all my stuff. I'm trying to get it in one trip up this elevator."
Yeah. It's the new AC Marriott Hotel. Has a rooftop bar on top.
Yeah.
I've done that once, trying to get back in, but hard finding available dates come summertime. I think I have one Friday open now till October, so
it's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
But yeah, I definitely try and just keep in touch. I really enjoy working with business owners here in town.
Yep.
I like those professional relationships. I enjoy musicians, but they have a tendency to be degenerate sometimes. So I really like kind of connecting myself with a lot of the management and owners around town. It's just a cool way to build professional working community. So that always helps me get gigs, whether they last long term or not. But it helps me, just find new places and keep on the radar of all these businesses.
I'm going to get you in Sawdust and Steel.
I just got a gig there, actually.
Did you? Good.
Yeah.
I was going to try. I just left Cody. He's the owner. Went to my school growing up.
Sweet.
I just left him a message and I said, "Hey, you want to sponsor? You want to start sponsoring? Give me a free 4-pack of beer and you're a sponsor."
Nice.
Because I was going to try and go over there and get a Pilsner.
Yeah.
And I just didn't have time, so I got us some. You want to open up that prickly pear? See what happens?
Dude, that sounds great.
It's Badlander Sparkling Water. We are not sponsored, but it's fresh from the Rocky Mountains of Montana. Based out of Helena, I believe. I got to read it. Yep, Helena, Montana. Just
That's
good
awesome.
old seltzer. You got prickly pear. I got huckleberry.
Nice. Well, thank you. Yeah, got to get
There you go.
ASMR going on.
We've been joking about that. A couple of the guests.
Yeah.
It's it's weird how a microphone, like, it can catch up. It can, like, picks up the whisper too.
Totally.
It's so cool. Anyway, so where were you born and raised?
So I was born in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Wow. My parents were in grad school at UNM over there. I was probably about 3 years old, though, when I left Albuquerque. So I only have singular memories of that. And then we moved to Spokane, Washington. And from, 4 years old to 18, lived out there. So Spokane's definitely home, definitely where I grew up from, elementary to high school. And then came out to Montana for college. And then have been here about 10 years.
MSU?
Yeah.
What did you study there?
I studied mechanical engineering, which was a challenging degree to leave behind. I still tinker with with some startup stuff on the side with it. But yeah, I mean, I loved learning engineering. I really enjoyed all of the educational process of it. But then once I started to realize what the general day-to-day work was, it just kind of broke my heart a little bit. And then as far as Montana goes, there's just not a lot of manufacturing industry out here. So then I would have had to have shifted to more of a civil engineering route, and that just didn't interest me at all. So,
is that the type of engineering? I'm going to sound like Dr. Steve Brule here. So what kind? No, anyway. So that's laying out things, city type stuff.
Yeah, civil's definitely just more static structures, which ends up being a lot of city development, at least in Bozeman. There are some cool stuff with the parks and some resources. As far as mechanical goes, there was a few companies that were doing some really cool renewable energy stuff, especially up in the Yellowstone Club Market, which would have been fun. But my graduating class was the year of COVID. So even a lot of my friends that did go get jobs at Boeing and things like that ended up just not loving it because they had no social life outside of work. Especially I know some of my female engineer friends, you know, they get out to Seattle and get stuck on a team with a bunch of older guys and then can't hang out with anyone in their social life.
You want to come to the Star Trek convention?
Yeah, right. Yeah. So a lot of them ended up coming back. And so it was kind of a disheartening year for new employment kind of age. But
yeah. So did that have anything to do with you saying, no, I'm going to do music?
Not so much. I specialized in material science and vibrational analysis, which my whole culminating project was actually with Gibson guitars, being that their acoustics are built out of Bozeman.
Yeah.
So what we helped them do is kind of do a 3D digital model of a guitar top and vibrate it in a software so we could get a frequency response out of it and actually hear what a guitar top would sound like before it's built. So rather than just, you know, we could solve things like simply, let's say you wanted to have 15 sound holes versus one, or let's say you wanted to widen the bracing pattern or all these things. There's just a lot of mystique behind instrument building, and there's no real technical language. It sounds boomy. It sounds brittle. You know, we have all these terminologies.
Sound really jumps out of that one.
Yeah, it's very soft science-esque where it's some people have preference to, and so it's just kind of this weird balance of using terminology to describe sound without really using science to describe sound. So we are trying to bridge that gap with kind of software predictive modeling so we could actually predict how a guitar would sound before just spending however much money to build the guitar. You could do it in a software first. So then I figured I could be an engineer for Gibson, get free guitars after
That'd be great.
and then, you know, be a musician and an engineer all in the similar industry. That was kind of my dream. Unfortunately, when I was employed with Gibson for about 3 weeks, that was during their bankruptcy.
Oh man.
And they were not well organized, and it just was not a healthy environment. I got to do some cool stuff. I mean, I got stuck on the CNCs to program all the necks and all the kind of just robotic manufacturing. So it was fun, but they just weren't very healthy. And even when I quit, they told me they were just hoping to squeeze a couple months out of me. That was just kind of the mentality.
Oh, man.
All that said, I've heard they've turned everything around. I think they have a built-in daycare now. Like, it really does seem like they've followed through to the other side in a very beautiful way. But it was just unfortunate when I got in there. Even the engineers were saying, like, let's talk about a 10-year plan. I'm like, I'm not going to be on a factory floor for a decade just to do my job. So I just remember I was calling my parents every day for advice, just being like, I hate this. Like, every second working at this job, I'm thinking about all the stuff I could be doing with music. And my parents are both pretty financially conservative and risk adverse. And so they were just saying, well, it's always better to get a new job if you have a job. So just keep at it and then maybe start looking. But I just couldn't do it. So I quit and just did full-time music. For about 10 months was the first stint. And I mean, I was probably making anywhere from $200 to $800 a month. Like, I was broke, eating celery and peanut butter every day. But I was happier than I'd ever been. So I knew I was onto something. And even my mom's sending me jobs on LinkedIn every day. You know, she's trying to get me back onto the safe route there. But I resonated with it so deeply that I knew I was onto something. And then I did a startup company for about 3 years, which luckily got me through COVID. But COVID also kind of drained all the money with that, just delaying shipping times and all that, just strung out that procedure longer than it needed to be. But that startup company really taught me business development, team management, investor relations, all these things. So returning back to full-time music, I had a lot more business sense to me now, and it's been onwards and slowly upwards.
What was your startup company? I'll talk. You just took a drink. I don't want to. What was that?
Okay, so the company originally was atomizing waste. So they were trying to take municipal waste and evaporate it and then recategorize it back into its chemical compounds.
Yeah.
Which was going to be super cool, but they, I guess, got plagiarized and kind of scammed by these scientists they had hired in the past. So the company and all the investors were feeling like they were on the brink of failure and really burnt out. So myself and one other came on and realized they were making nanoparticles in the process. So then we were trying to originally find a new way to manufacture nanoparticles. Right now, it's a very chemical process where you use kind of harsh-ish chemicals that eat away at the material down to a nano size. But we were trying to do, I think with the nano industry, they haven't figured out how to do it, manufacture them at a commercial scale. It's all very small scale. So we were trying to kind of break that gap with a bigger machine that would actually basically turn metal into gas and then cool it really fast and then get nanos out of it.
So nanoparticles of metal.
Mm-hmm.
So that would that have like manufacturing applications, or like what type of purpose would those particles employ? I don't know how to say it.
Yeah,
you're making me sound dumb.
No,
it's pretty easy to do. I'm kidding. But I want to ask. There's another thing I want to ask you too.
Sure.
Because I don't know. Let's do the nanoparticle thing, but then go back to. Because a lot of people don't understand. Like I had told somebody a while ago that a guitar, like an acoustic guitar's top, is like a speaker. Because the vibration of the top is what creates the sound. But anyway, let's do the nanoparticles first, and then you can explain what a guitar top is.
Sure. So, yeah, the company I was with was trying to specialize in rare earth metals, which are really big in the magnetic kind of world, like neodymium speakers are a thing. Yep. So then you can have just really strong magnetic properties on really small scale. But it's in the whole tech world is probably the most obvious. Obviously, like your cell phones these days have 9 microphones in them. You might only use 1 or 2 for actual communication. The rest are all noise canceling. So bringing something from a micro scale to a nano scale, well, now you can multiply it by a large factor. And, so just basically building more at a small scale is a big thing. A lot of the OLED and QLED TVs have some nanotech in them.
So that's smaller than micro.
Yeah. It's basically singular up to a few hundred atoms. It's very small.
So did you ever watch any of the best of Phil Hartman or any of the best of Saturday Night Live?
I grew up on Saturday Night Live CDs. I don't know if it was the best of. We had some like Will Ferrell and Chris Farley.
There's one where
grew up with.
Phil Hartman is like he's a TV host and he's interviewing this scientist.
Nice.
And he's like, so gold is long and stringy, like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Nice.
That's how I feel right now.
Nice.
So
long and stringy.
So then that's crazy, man. That's cool. Well, I mean, I guess there's so many layers because you see this guy, with this cool blonde hair sitting in a corner playing a guitar, and you don't realize that he's an engineer. He's been in a startup company. He's done scientific work with Gibson guitars. And I find that really interesting because I think, we talk about that. We know because we're both musicians. Yeah, musicians can be huge degenerates. Mm-hmm. We've all probably dealt with the business end of that.
Yeah.
but I don't know, I just think it's really cool because for a lot of people, maybe you're just you're the soundtrack to a good night.
Sure.
They don't think any deeper than that unless they're coming to see you, which has happened. Like you played, was it at the Ellen last summer?
Rialto,
that probably. One. I get those two confused. The Rialto. Yep. You had a show there. People came. You've done live from the Divide, and people come to see that. But then you've kind of diversified to the point where you have, like, there are background music gigs. That's all that I do because that's all I can get. I like them.
Yeah.
But you showed me that you can get some money just playing music.
Totally.
You know, so it's just crazy because people will see you and you just don't think this guy's got a life and he's got a degree in engineering and like you're a smart guy. And I don't know, I just think it's cool because it can be very reductionistic to just say, well, yeah, we're all more than that, more than what we're doing in any given moment. And I just think I think it's cool. It's one of the reasons I'm doing this is because I've found interesting layers. And even just talking to my brothers I guess I had Rob Stotts from Goners UK on here.
Okay, cool.
And him too. Like everyone's got a different story and I mean, I even wonder, there's so many things. I should have a pen so I can write down notes so I don't forget because I go down these rabbit trails. But there's so many different layers to you. Let's talk about what is the top of an acoustic guitar? Because some people just don't know, and I think it's interesting.
It's super interesting. So it's called the Helmholtz frequency, which is the same thing as if like when you blow into a beer bottle and it resonates.
Yeah.
So basically it is getting resonance out of a hole. And so what's kind of crazy, we only really cared about the guitar top because the sides of an acoustic don't really do much for resonating. And then the back is up against your stomach. So then you're muting that pretty much. So it's really just the top. Obviously the strings are where the resonation is coming from, but then it's amplified by the guitar top. So like you said, much like a speaker, the strings are pressed against or mounted through the guitar top. So all that tension. And then when you pluck the string, you're now vibrating the top from the impulse of the string. And then, basically when you think of a just pretty symmetrical, typical standard acoustic, it's vibrating back and forth from kind of the big soundboard, which is where the strings connect through. Yeah. And then that's symmetrical where the hole of the guitar is. So it goes back and forth and just keeps shoving sound out of the hole.
And it's almost kind of like it's swirling around inside of the body almost, right?
Yeah.
I kind of get like a vortex in my head, but I don't know if that's what it is or not.
Yeah, I mean, it gets complicated. A lot of the vibration textbooks just have really simple patterns of squares and circles.
Okay.
But now you're getting into cutaway guitars or, really oddly shaped guitars and the vibration. I might on my phone have some old 3D modeling of how a guitar top actually vibrates, but it's chaotic. Yeah. It's kind of crazy. And then let alone the bracing that is underneath the guitar top to help with structure. It looks like a plane crash. Like there's not a lot of science to it. Martin kind of did it early on in a great way and people liked it, but you would think it'd be symmetrical, but it's not. Yeah. And so it's just these weird bracing patterns of little pieces of wood glued to the main resonant thing, the top of the guitar, and it's really weird. There's with 3D printing and stuff like that, there's some really cool new forms of bracing coming out in the world. But it's definitely people just kind of stick to a Martin Taylor-esque bracing pattern. And for some reason it works. It sounds good, but it doesn't make a lot of scientific sense.
I wonder. So have you found, like in your experience, have you found that more people like acoustic music than electric music? But you're touring now with a full band, so you probably have a different sample. Because I always get people, I just love acoustic. I just love a, person with a guitar. And I wonder if the imperfection in that has some, like, hits people different. But what's been your experience? Do you get more response from the full band or more response when you're just doing acoustic-y kind of atmospheric stuff?
That's tough. I mean, I feel like I came from just acoustic singer-songwriter. But at least in this town, being a ski bum college town, I always felt this pressure to be able to entertain people at 2 a.m. at the Hofbrau or at some late night bar.
Yep.
And so very quickly, this kind of sappy, sad singer-songwriter just wasn't cutting it for me. So I was always fairly insecure about my songwriting because it just wasn't working with the gigs I was getting. So I've always felt this pressure to become more of a energetic, pop-esque band.
Yeah.
And I think a big thing, especially once you start getting on the festival circuit around the nation, you start to realize a music festival can be people's vacation and they want to party.
Yeah.
So I still feel this need to energize people, especially for just like an outdoor summertime festival. It's kind of the environment. However, it's becoming a little more full circle as of late, where I've been able to find a really healthy balance between keeping my original integrity of songwriting and still dipping my toes in the water of a more energetic, I wouldn't say jam band, but a band that jams.
Open Road?
Yeah. Open Road.
That's that.
That is exactly that. Is a 3-chord CGD song. It was kind of written out of spite, honestly, just because I got tired of playing fairly intricate fingerstyle guitar that was just soothing, I guess, or even if it's background music, I'm fine with that, but it just didn't translate live. That said, there are people that, especially in the bluegrass, country, Americana genres, they prefer the acoustic instruments. It's tough. I don't know if one's better than the other.
Yeah, there's probably no hard and fast rules.
That's the hardest part of this industry is you can't rinse and repeat someone else's strategy or path to success. It's always fully individual. I've started to love electric guitar more than acoustic.
Easier on the old fingies.
Yeah, definitely.
Playing in 3 hours with medium gauge strings. I had my fingers lock up.
Really?
Was that sawdust and steel? My third finger just went perp.
Just
would not. I'm 40 though, so it happens more probably. And I didn't know what to do, so I think I had broken a string, so I tuned that one to open D and just played slide for a while, and I don't know how to play slide.
Well,
but anyway,
nice.
Yeah, it is. I mean, well, there's cool stuff, and you do solo gigs with acoustic and electric, so you'll get loops going, and so if you don't know what a looper is, you could probably people who are listening, Jacob, you could explain it better than I can.
Yeah, basically you can loop a phrase, measure a bar however long you want, whatever beat per minute. You can hit start, play as long as you want, and hit stop, and it will keep playing back that loop, that measure, that bar, whatever you just played over and over again. And then you can add another layer. I mean, some people out there can loop tons of instruments at once. I don't go too crazy with it. I just kind of do bass, guitar, vocals.
Yeah.
But yeah, looping is fun. It definitely helps get more gigs and just kind of better quality gigs in the sense that I can sound maybe like a trio.
Yeah.
Just by myself. But yeah, I do the looping and then do acoustic and electric. It's because I still love acoustic music and I still consider myself in the folk world.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the band, especially just late night bars, trying to just chase money gigs too. I mean, it'd be a lot different if I just had the luck of, I don't know, being recognized at 18 and you just get to play what you want to play and do whatever you want to do with no sense of needing to find a balance of, what people want versus what you want to do. But when you're trying to get money, I mean, my buddy of mine described it the best. But if you're a musician, looking to make it full time, you still need to sell a coffee cup, just like being a ceramic artist.
Yeah.
Like you could make all this really cool abstract art, but a coffee cup will still sell the best. And so you still need to kind of find some practical music, and that could be cover songs, or that could just be just more familiarity to the listener.
Yeah, you're 100%. I mean, just kind of watching you from afar after I met you at the Beast of Bozeman, you showed me how to do it, and I've been playing guitar since 1997. But it was always just like a punk rock band, which we need to go there too.
Sweet,
because I have a feeling punk rock's a part of your DNA. I'm not sure why, but I just have a feeling. So I better type that. I always forget I can type things.
Yeah,
like I don't have a pen to write things down. But anyway, but you showed me that. Like you go and you put together. I didn't even have an hour-long set. But then I realized I know a lot of Johnny Cash songs, and I ended up playing a lot of outlaw country because that goes over okay here.
Oh, yeah.
Especially the touristy stuff. Like, all these people who want to pretend to be cowboys while they're here. Yep. I didn't realize. I've had locals say it's like Halloween. They come here, and you see it. They buy their cowboy boots. They buy their hats. Yep. They total fish out of water.
$700 cowboy hat.
Yep, yeah. But they're having fun. And I grew up on a ranch in this valley. Multiple generations, and it grates against my spirit sometimes. But at some point, you're like, look, these folks want to have a good time, and I'm going to help them.
Yeah, there's such a distaste towards the tourism industry here from the locals, but at the same time, it is what makes Bozeman.
Yeah.
And it's also what makes it fun, and as a musician, it's great.
It's awesome.
So I do my best to not judge them too hard. I mean, a little teasing's always fun.
Yeah, and most people can handle a little. I mean, you're a local by now. You went to the school. You've been here for multiple years, and actually, I think I saw every once in a while I'll watch this geographer guy, and cool. he refers to us as the inner Northwest here.
Nice.
So if Spokane, you're probably right on the border of the Northwest and the inner Northwest.
Yeah, we always call it inland Northwest in the Spokane, and I guess I would rope Montana into that too. Yeah.
Well, and we didn't have the volume of. I remember when microbreweries started really taking off in the late '90s, early 2000s. I wasn't old enough to drink till 2002, but that didn't stop me. Anyway, but like Bozeman Brewing,
they
got really big, and Moose Drool was always a thing.
Oh,
and, that kind of. So we had that, not to the extent, like I remember one I tried from Oregon. It was called Harry Eyeball, and I can't remember the brand. But it was just this really thick stout. It was awesome. But anyway, there's a lot of cultural similarities. I think we are, especially in Bozeman. It does have kind of a Northwest feel, but with bad winters.
Yeah, just
or good winters.
8-month winters. Yeah.
It is.
I don't understand how people live here if you're not into winter sports.
And they complain. Well, if you're going to live here and you complain about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it does great on your. I'm using that word great a lot, but it does great on your emotional state, your mental health. If you don't, but the cool thing here is the sun does. My dad always pointed that out. I lived in the Midwest for a long time.
Okay.
And there in the winter, the sun doesn't come out as much.
Interesting.
Here it comes out like you could be in your car and it's below zero and you're warm because the sun is shining.
It is true.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, we are lucky for that. I think Denver and Bozeman kind of have that similar high alpine where it's just chaotic weather. I mean, 60-degree temperature swings in a couple days. But
it's also
we get a lot of
awesome.
sun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it is beautiful.
Well, and you've done, so I would really encourage, we're going to keep going until you're out of time.
Sounds good, dude.
I knew this when we first started. When we got about 5 minutes in, I'm like, oh, this is going to be it. I knew it was going to be good, but now I really know it's going to be good.
Cool.
But anyway, like just the weather turning around and that whole thing. Like you just posted a video of you sitting on your amp playing in a mud pile with the mountains in the background with snow on them.
Yep.
And that's here.
Yeah.
And you're a skier.
Yep. Started skiing elementary school, about 5th grade. Never had a lot of money for it, so it was always just go to the ski swap, get $20 boots and, $60 skis. And back in the day, too, I think it was $15 lift tickets. Man. So we was able to go a couple times a year with my dad. But then I had some friends, probably middle school age, that, they would get season passes every year. And so I started making it more of my identity in my friend group. And so then it just became a thing where I would mow lawns or do whatever I had to do in the summer. But yeah, back then for $500, I could get 2 season passes to do different mountains total. And so I would just work my ass off to get $500.
Yep.
And buy 2 season passes. And then we had a really awesome local ski shop in Spokane. Shout out Sports Creel.
Nice.
My aunt, I believe, went to high school with the owners. They're multiple generation.
Those are always the best.
And so they were just always so kind and, always helped me get new gear or give me just the greatest trade-in value for what I could. And they always kept me going with, still to this day, they helped me get nice gear for a very good price. And so shout out to them. But yeah, I skied a lot. I was a park skier with the jumps and rails and all that. Started doing some competitions with that, and definitely was convinced that was going to be my life. Like, I wanted to be a professional skier. Would go to all the ski documentary tours and all of that. Like, it was my life. So I thought that was going to be what I did with it. But then senior year of high school, I blew out my shoulder and my knee just a couple months apart. And so then that was kind of a sobering awakening where I was like, damn, do I have to go to college?
Was that from a wreck?
Yeah. Two different ones. I'm trying to think what happened first. I believe my shoulder happened first. That was just from catching an edge on a rail and just kind of posted out and caught myself with a hyperextended arm, and it separated quite a few ligaments in my shoulder. So it's my rotator cuff and all that's good, but my collarbone no longer connects to my shoulder, so my entire shoulder just floats. Not just the socket, but shoulder blade, everything. So I never even got that fixed.
You just do shoulder exercises?
I do my best. Yeah. I mean, rock climbing was good for that I did that more. But now I just try and do just rehab it just kind of steadily just to keep it in place. And then before I was even cleared by the doctor to be skiing from my shoulder, I was skiing. And I was like, I'll just film all my friends. I'll just keep it easy. But then we found this awesome jump that was perfect for backflips. But it was a very foggy day and I couldn't resist, and so I tried to do what's called a flat 3, just kind of like a slightly off axis backflip. Just completely lost where I was in the air and landed on my feet, but just had so much rotational momentum that kept rotating once I landed and just popped my knee right out. And then that was the real one, because that was about an 8-month recovery time to get the ACL reconstructed and the meniscus and all that. So that was a big sobering moment where I realized, one, I'm not an invincible 18-year-old anymore. I'm immediately an old man now. And and then just also starting to think a little bit more about preservation of life and of what I want. And my dad sat me down and had a really cool kind of moment that will always ring true with me. But I was getting into a little bit of trouble and had a couple big injuries. And my dad noticed that I was always just this adrenaline junkie, thrill seeker, reckless kind of personality. And so he was the one that kind of planted it in my head, like, dude, you got to chill out. You got to think a little more long term, and you need to find healthier ways to seek adrenaline. And he said, for instance, have you ever thought about finding more adrenaline in playing live music? And I was like, whoa, I never thought of that at the time.
That's a real Yoda move on your dad's part.
No, my dad is a very wise guy. He says few words, but everything he says is powerful. So that really, really stuck with me. And I honestly, at the time, it was just something I kind of did in my bedroom, just played some guitar, just noodled around. But it never really was it wasn't really much to me. It was just something I did. And even at a younger age, doing some classical piano, it was something I had to do. It just felt like my mom's buying lessons. She's making me do them. I have to do them. I better practice. But through the process of injuries and a little advice from my parents being a mentor, that's really when I started shifting into music. Especially during the recovery time. I mean, I couldn't swim, I couldn't hike, I couldn't do a lot with the knee for about 8 months. So I just sat down and started playing guitar and used it as therapy even at the time, just kind of coming to age, processing emotions, but also just redefining the fact that everything I envisioned my life to be is going to be different now. Because then I was thinking, okay, well, if I'm going to college, I'm probably going out of state. All my friends are going to be in state, so now I'm leaving my friends behind. It was an emotional process, as it is for a lot of kids that age. But I was very grateful to have music budding into my life.
It's a perfect time.
It's perfect.
It's kind of funny. You had to go east to go west.
Kind of crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. The Wild West.
'Cause
6 hours east.
There's still a piece of it. Yeah. Well, so, okay. Do you have any punk rock in your DNA? As everyone started off, and I feel like I sent you a song a while ago, and you said, this reminds me of the Weaker Thans or something like that. I can't remember what you had said. And I thought, I bet you this guy knows a little punk rock. You got any punk rock in your background?
I don't know if I would necessarily classify it as punk, but
alternative.
Yeah, I mean, one of my first concerts, I guess I definitely grew up AC/DC, kind of classic rock, 90s
and they're right
rock.
on the edge, really.
They're right on the edge.
Yeah.
Scorpions, like all that, more older kind of influence.
Yeah.
But then when it came to my music, I mean, like Seether, Breaking Benjamin, all that was definitely the majority of my playlist. Ozzy Osbourne, even. I mean, I listened to a lot of that middle school through high school, but then early high school is when I started finding fingerstyle folk guitar. And that's kind of when I really shifted to the more peaceful stuff. But yeah, I mean, I'm in open C or like C standard tuning, which is kind of adjacent with a lot of the heavier metal guys or punk. So it is kind of funny because I have that baritone depth to my guitar tone that you normally don't hear in this genre.
Yeah, you'd think. Well, I think maybe I find it helpful, at least in Bozeman. I mean, okay, my punk rock band played a show on Wednesday.
Sweet.
We tried to advertise. I never know who's going to show up. I think we sold 11 tickets, and some of those were our friends.
What venue?
It was at the Labor Temple.
Sweet.
And it was cool. Like, we had good quality people. It was a good show, but I thought, man, we couldn't get 20 people.
Yeah.
But anyway, I do think there's some commonality in the DIY thing. And I think the fact that you're in what an antiquated term that I'm going to use, but extreme sports.
Sure.
There's something there. Like the adrenaline thing. I got into punk rock because I was a skateboarder when I was a kid.
Yeah, I like skating a lot too and longboarding.
So there's that. There's these little kind of overlap points.
I can see that.
For you, you're pure. I mean, you're doing this all on your own. Mm-hmm. Like you're not a part of a machine. I mean, maybe do you have some distro with some record companies anywhere, anything like that?
No, I mean, I'm independently distributing through CD Baby, which anyone can go make an account and do. I just got a manager this year, but it's not really doing much. So I'm kind of trying that out, but I might drop that soon just because it seems like I'm just spending money for someone to remind me of everything I already know. Like it'd be different if they had all this grand advice or actually did work, but they're not doing much. So all that said, I mean, a little bit of management, just like a soundboard to bounce some ideas off of, but fully independent.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can have a manager and be fully independent, I think.
Totally.
So I have to qualify if there's any of my punk snob friends. I know that AC/DC is not punk, but there are a lot of punk bands that were influenced by AC/DC, so get off my jock.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is something that really hit me as really interesting because you were supposed to come in here, and then you had I've never had this text before, but it was, I've got a stingray barb in my toe. And you're like, I'm really sorry I can't come. And I'm like, that's okay. You should probably get that taken care of.
Yeah.
So you were on tour. Were you down in California where that happened? Or where were you at?
So my girlfriend and I, just wanted some warmer weather, and we're just trying to get a little week getaway. And then just being that a musician's salary is not luxurious, so I usually always have to try and get a couple gigs. But it's fun because then I can tour, sometimes break even, or at the very least just pay for a couple dinners or something. Planned to go down to San Diego. I'd never been, at least out of memory. I think I might have been a couple years old or something.
Originally founded by the Germans. They
San
called
Diego?
it San Diego. I'm doing Anchorman. Keep going.
Nice. You almost convinced me there. I was like, wait, really? Went down to San Diego, played a couple gigs. They were all right. They were whatever. But then...
it's the code.
Yeah, they
happened.
They happened. Yeah. I mean, it was cool to network and check out the scene and met some cool people. I did get to go to the San Diego Music Awards, which was really cool, and actually meet some of the award-winning or at least nominated artists. So I at least got a little connected to the professionals down there. But the open mics were also pretty atrocious.
It's good to know that's all over.
The more you travel, I'm really amazed at Bozeman's music scene. So shout out to Bozeman because
we have a lot of good musicians here.
It's crazy. I mean, the more I do these open mics or even just attend concerts in other cities where a local act is supporting the touring artist, I mean, our bands here are great compared to a lot that I see elsewhere. Anyways, Stingray.
Yeah.
In San Diego, we decided to rent some surfboards for the day. and just go surfing. I've surfed a few times in my life. I mean, it's not a big part of my identity, but I've been able to stand up on a few. And when in Rome, you're on the ocean. So we went out. My girlfriend had never surfed, so we're trying to kind of teach her a little bit while swimming and all that and treading water. And we had been informed that this bay has stingrays all over it. So you do the stingray shuffles where as you're walking, you just kind of kick really aggressively, make a lot of ruckus, kick up sand, make a lot of vibration. So I was doing that. But then, surfed for about an hour, and then she went in to warm up, and then I wanted to go out and just try and actually stand up on a couple without having to, swim and talk and do all that. So went out, surfed one kind of half wave, and then jumped off the board and was going to swim back to the board in what at the time felt like I just kicked a rock while swimming. And I looked down and didn't really see anything, figured it just like really stubbed my toe. So then I surfed for probably about 25 more minutes, finally rode a couple and then came in happy, but then also just really felt my toe starting to hurt more and more. And then by the time I got out of the water, I realized I was just leaving a trail of blood everywhere I went. So it was definitely a good thing I got out of the ocean. But started looking at it, and it was definitely filleted open a bit. And then just the pain levels were crazy. And so, I mean, at the time, I still thought I had just kicked a rock. Went over to the lifeguard kind of guys just to get some gauze. They put a little saline on it and wrapped it up, but they had told me, like, it's not a very clean environment. You're going to want to go home and clean this out. But they looked at it, couldn't see anything, so they just thought I must have kicked a rock also. But then it wasn't until we were returning our rentals, the gentleman we rented our surfboards from saw my foot wrapped up, and he's like, "Oh, what happened?" And I said, "Oh, I think I kicked a rock." And he says, "Well, a lot of people that get stung by stingrays think they just kicked a rock." And I said, "Well, I mean, lifeguards didn't see anything, so probably fine." And he just looks at me and he goes, "I mean, you would know. Like, the pain is pretty intense." And that's when I started starting to assume, because I was like, this is wild. Like, this is wildly painful. And then at that point, it was making my knee and my hip ache. It was just so much more than just splitting your toe open kind of thing.
Do you have Viking blood in you?
I'm sure it's in there.
Because you're a really even keel guy. So you're in excruciating pain, and you're probably still talking like that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, my girlfriend's like trying to take photos still, and she's just like trying to have this little photo shoot. And I'm just like, I'd kind of like to go now. Yeah, it's time to go. But yeah, so then even leaving San Diego, I never really was certain if it was a stingray or not. Was leaning towards the assumption that it was, just because it was about 9 out of 10 pain levels for about 4 hours, and then just died off, and everything was fine. And then, I mean, other than just kind of bleeding through my socks and shoes for the rest of the trip, the pain was gone, and it was just inconvenient. Felt good for about 5 days, got back to Montana, but then it started getting infected. So then I was like, okay, here we go. Went to urgent care, took x-rays, and still had the barb in my toe.
You posted pictures.
Yeah, the x-rays were kind of crazy. I got to save the barb. I have it.
Well, yeah, I'd keep it in a little jar or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd keep it.
Yeah.
My dad has has jars with kidney stones in it.
Nice.
Like, you want to see this one? Yeah. I'm like, no, Dad's sick. But anyway,
brutal.
Love you, Dad. But that was just crazy. I've never thought I'd get a text from somebody. Maybe because I'm such a landlubber, I never thought I'd get,
Yeah, I mean, even the ER doctor was like, I've never had to remove a stingray barb in Montana before.
So did they scalpel your toe open and pull it out?
Yeah, so when I got hit by the stingray, it actually did cut my toe open pretty good.
But it was jammed in kind of sideways, right? Yeah,
I mean, it was against my bone. So, I mean, it went past the center of my toe. So it was pretty deep in there. So, went to urgent care. They can't operate there, but they could diagnose. So then I had an appointment, but they didn't get me in time. And at this point, I'm now trying to go on tour to Utah. So then it was a really tough decision because I don't want to pay ER bills, but at the same time, I don't want to let my toe be infected for a week. So I went to ER, got one surgery. He got 2 out of 3 pieces out, but then said I have to get the third out. Like, it's infected pretty bad. luckily, it was a whirlwind of a day, but I was able to get surgery at 8 a.m. the morning of my Salt Lake show. So I got surgery, which at least now I got to go to the actual operating room where it was a clean enough room that they could stitch it up afterwards, because the ER just removed what they could but left it wide open. So then the next day or 2 days later, I got my second surgery, which, who knew? I mean, I was feeling great for 5 days, and I just figured, cool story. But it turned into a whole ordeal.
They're venomous, right?
They're venomous, and I guess part of their venom is just kind of a nasty bacteria, let alone the ocean in a fairly industrial cities, just kind of dirty. So they're just really prone for infection. And then I just had an appointment yesterday, my 1 week follow-up. And I mean, doctor just said, like, I was really glad we got into this because it was super infected and your tissue was black inside. And so I guess it was all good, but we got it removed, on last Wednesday, drove to Salt Lake, played a show. Then I did a festival in Moab and then came back. So it was wild.
That is wild. You're tough. Well, you're the consummate performer and professional musician, which I want to talk about being a professional musician. You posted a really cool thing a while ago. People are going to think I'm stalkery, but I like to follow people that I like, so sue me. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope people are enjoying the content.
You posted a really cool thing about being a professional musician, and I just thought it was so funny. You're bummed out that we had to cancel, and I'm like, oh, it's all right, man. You got to take... But that's you. That's a performer. That's a professional. I'm going to make it come hell or high water. I want to be there. And I've noticed that about you. I don't know. I mean, you don't have to do it verbatim, but that's one of the things I typed out while we were talking is being a professional musician. And you've always heard the old cliche, and I'm sure you've heard it too. People say it's called the music business. Mm-hmm. And you talked about earlier, that you got to make a coffee cup.
Sure.
And so I've seen that you had a list of things that you kind of, it was kind of advice to budding musicians or to anyone who wants to maybe gig more or make some money. And I'll just kind of couch it with this. I wish someone would have told me when I was 18, 19, learn how to play songs people like. You're not selling out if you're making a little bit of money. Like, you can actually make a living playing music. So I don't know. Let's talk about that. Just the professional musician thing.
Yeah. I don't remember all that I said in that post, but I
should see if I can find it.
It definitely was just kind of like, here's what I've learned after 6 years of full-time music or whatever. Which, that 6-year mark is not massive. Like, I'm not trying to sit there and be like, I'm an expert in this field, but
you know what you're doing. I can say this. I've been playing for a long time and unsuccessfully setting up, you play for your friends and you wonder why nobody shows up.
Sure.
I've seen you, I can look at how you're doing things and I can process what my version of how you're doing things. Just watching you has helped me. How old are you?
28.
You're 28. I'm 40.
Nice.
So I've already said that 8 times today. But anyway, it's like, middle age. But so just as a guy who's older than you and has probably been playing longer than you have, I've learned from you.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So that's what I thought was so cool. You quantified that in a way that was really helpful.
Yeah. I mean, that was my goal. It's like, there's definitely people that have been at it for 30 years, 10 years, and I'm looking up to them. But I think it's really important, much like any career, to have mentors along your stepping stones that are just a couple of years ahead of you. So that's kind of why I just wanted to phrase it in the sense of, I've been at it for 6 years. You might know more than me, but here's what I've learned. Take what you want from it. I don't remember all the points though, but yeah, it's a wild world. I think definitely one of the things I mentioned that I'd like to, I guess one of the more important things to share is it's just really important to be multifaceted.
Yeah.
Like, you can't sit there and just expect people to come to you because you wrote a couple good songs. Especially if you're trying to be full-time and make money at this too, it's like, you can't also just be a bass player that does, the 1-5-1 country stereotype bass and expect to make a lot of really good money. Like you need to find ways to, especially in the modern worlds. I mean, that's again, bringing up your age too. It's like, it's never too late in today's times. We're not stuck behind sex appeal and teenage angst. And I mean, you can be 50 and still make a cool career out of it. There was a gentleman, I think it was a piece, classical or jazz piece, that ended up blowing up on TikTok sounds. Like it was just a background sound that got used all the time. And the guy was 98 and now has a lot of money that he does not know what to do with because he's never lived a wealthy, abundant lifestyle. And at 98 years old, something clicked for him.
Wow.
So that is the cool thing of the technological world we're in. It's very DIY. It's very accessible. But with that, you need to be multifaceted because you really do need to learn recording, learn production, learn video editing, learn content creation, learn business management. It doesn't mean you have to do it all perfectly or do it all well, but if you can learn it enough to communicate it or learn it well enough to know when to hire that out, that's just kind of what's really important, I think. Yeah, because there's so many ways to make money as a musician, too. I mean, sync licensing and film scores, commercials, you can make jingles, you can be a producer, you can, live is a completely different thing versus even just being a local circuit where you're just playing bars and breweries and you make your community happy. You can make a few grand a month doing that. It doesn't mean it's building a career, but you can make money just at that. But then if you really want to be a career musician, that's when multiple sources of income kind of have to happen. But even within the music world, there's multiple sources. A lot of people think it's just like buying a lottery ticket and it's so risky trying to make it. And obviously every person's dream is to be recognized as an accomplished original artist and have your music be sung by thousands. That's everyone's fantasy in the music world. But to even just collaborate and work with such diverse talent that even Bozeman has is a cool opportunity.
Yeah.
Yes, there's just so many ways to view professional music, but you have to be a business person. And yeah, like you said earlier, it's the music business. You can't just be a barfly working for beer that's talented. You really do have to be a CEO. You have to be executive. You have to know when to call it, know when to pivot. You can't be so attached to your vision or your song and be convinced that you're making gold and just blame the fans for not coming. You know, it's like,
this is,
it's tough, dude.
That's why, like, the punk rock band I play in, whatever, we play 2 to 4 shows a year. We don't make money. It's just for fun.
That's great.
Let's get our rocks off here.
Yeah.
But then the rest of it, and I know you're this way because you play stuff you like. You don't play anything you hate. And so finding that like middle ground of, okay, I'll give you an example. I did a private party in Big Sky a while ago.
Sweet.
And the mom, I think it was the mom of the bride, asked me if I would learn Still the One by Shania Twain.
Nice.
And I'm like, oh, crap. So I listened to it, and I'll be married 20 years this August.
Congrats.
Yeah, it's cool.
That's really cool.
Like, I started thinking about my wife, and I started shedding tears over this dumb Shania Twain song.
Nice, dude.
It's like, all right, I think I can sing this and mean it. You know, This was written by some gifted people, and I think as a songwriter too, you start seeing, all right, this is a well written song.
Yep.
A lot of kind of pop country and pop music in general is super polished and hyper produced, but you can hear the kernel of a good song, and that's what's kind of neat about if you do your own version of it. Okay, like I can't sing that high or I can't sing that low, but I'll put it in a key that works for me. And yeah, like it's been really neat to see how I even see how you're I don't know if I'm ever gonna I should probably become more of a video editor, but I can't stand doing it. But I've seen how
it's tedious.
Yeah, you're putting out different types of reels now. Like a song, like imagine this person mixed with this person, but it's this, and then you're just doing you have a little clip of your song, and you're sitting on your amp with a cool background. That's gotta, have you been getting pretty good? feedback, or what would you call it? Engagement?
Yeah, engagement. I mean, the social media game is the worst part of the music industry. I think there's some people that probably do enjoy it and love it, and they get their personality shines through it. But I hate it, and I think probably 90% of musicians hate it. It's just, it's kind of a insulting, reductive way to have to market your music. However, it's free. It's available for anyone. So don't hate the game that you're trying to play. That said, I'm not this super bubbly, outgoing person that's going to make comedy skits and be some goofy personality trying to promote my music like you see online all the time. And so even for me, I started just posting videos of me playing. And then I actually had a friend tell me, which is great advice, but, as you're doom scrolling through social media, it's a whole lot of eye contact. It's a lot of people up close and personal. And then I come up and I'm just kind of like off in the distance playing, and they kind of just subconsciously want to scroll past it because it's not resonant. It's not connecting. Yep. That 3-second attention span's already lost because now I'm just some foreign object. So then, it was even not a challenge, but it was an intentional decision to now make eye contact with the camera. And so it was just all these baby steps of learning the social media content strategy. So then for a while, it was just lyric videos of me playing. Now I'm closer and looking at the camera. And I would mess with like an iPhone video versus breaking out like a 2-camera setup where I spend 30 hours editing it. And the video I spend all this time producing gets
nothing.
X amount, nothing. And then the iPhone video actually does decent. So then it was just starting to realize too, it's like if I'm trying to do consistency, you can't be putting 30 hours into each video. It's not a big production like an album or a YouTube video even.
But it's a lot of time. And
it's a lot of time.
And you're
like
as busy as you
artistic expression too.
You're a photographer.
Yep.
I forgot about that one.
Yep.
But you also are a photographer.
Yeah, I monetized photography far before music, but it ruined the passion for me. It really did. And for some reason, I'm able to monetize music and still love it. But now I get to use photography to develop my website or make my content kind of like this. So I still get to utilize it, which is fun. And then most recently, I've been messing with just trying to provide context before someone watches my video. So rather than just a lyric video of me playing a song, having a little text box that says indie folk XXX, whatever it is. Or this artist meets this artist, just so people can right off the bat in that 3-second attention span even get a sense of, will I even like this or not? And it's been growing. Social medias aren't something I have to really brag too much about, but it is cool. And it's really fun to cross-post on multiple platforms and see certain ones on YouTube work really well, certain ones on Instagram work really well. But it kind of sucks still. There's no real way to predict what's going to do great or not. I'm seeing some more consistent growth though, at least.
And I think you're right. It's a necessary evil. I've been avoiding TikTok. I don't know what to do about that, but I have a day job. So for me, I'm a part-time musician, and I can make, last year I broke even, so I made as much money as I spent just about
on music.
On music. This
too.
year my goal is to actually make money.
Nice.
And the cool thing is you can write off a lot of stuff. And so it's interesting to discover all that. But I was going to ask you this kind of random question. As you're visiting with me, introvert or extrovert?
I sit pretty in the middle.
Yeah.
I've done these personality test things in the past, and I'm always like the rare species that's 10% of everything, but no majority in any way. I think I'm an extremely introverted person in my mind, and even in social settings, I'm always pretty inward thinking. However, I do have a social battery that, luckily I play so much live music that I'm getting just a lot of community involvement, even if it's not close friends or anything. But I'm definitely the type of person that opens up the most in a situation like this, just one-on-one or small groups is definitely where I feel like my personality shines out. Large social settings, I definitely take more of a beta back seat kind of role. I just don't feel the need to dominate large groups and be that personality. It's just unnatural to me. But when it comes to smaller groups, I feel like is when I'm much more comfortable. So I'm this weird world of super introverted, super self-reflective, very inward thinking all the time. However, I do love a good hangout, I love meeting new people. Like I'm not socially awkward in the sense of being afraid of meeting people.
Yeah, I've seen you connect with people after a show, and you're good at it. I think that seems to be the bar, like what fills your tank. So I can't stand being in large groups. Yeah. I can't stand it, and yet I can work a crowd. You probably can too.
Yeah,
but it drains me to no end. I prefer this. This feels. I'm excited. You know, we might be tired when we're done because you're just sitting there paying attention to something for over an hour. But like this fills my tank. One-on-one, smaller groups, same diff. But it's always, I think it's interesting. More musicians have tendencies toward introversion than a lot of people think. They think we all just want to be the life of the party.
Yeah. Especially with the social media stuff. Like post your face 4 times a day, every day, and care about likes and numbers. It is this look at me on the outside. However, I mean, I'll go weeks without seeing a single person. Like I will hide out in my studio for weeks. And it's the fame and the attention is a byproduct. It's not what I care about. If anything, I just would like for the music to resonate and to actually connect with people. And you have to have some degree of recognition to keep going.
Yeah, if no one ever told you were good, or they like this song,
so selfless that
it's just
blind dumping music out there in the world and hoping. Like
we want people to like it. We want people to listen to it. I don't know if you had this early on, but I used to really hope my mom or my dad would. My dad was always better at this, but I would like record a song. Like, hey, I really want you guys to listen to this. I recorded this song. And one of my other musician friends, Ethan Kerner, he would have the same thing. You get about 30 seconds into the song and they start talking over it.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, like this is my soul. I'm showing this is a different, and you just, but okay. I told some young fellers a while ago. I said, if you can get over the fact that nobody cares about you, and nobody cares about your music, you can make a lot of money playing music. And that's sometimes it does kind of get you where, okay, I'm in the background and you'll have someone, I know you've had this because I'm hearing things you're saying and I've experienced some of the same things. You'll get done playing for 3 hours. Nobody paid attention. And then a couple people will come up to you and say, man, that was way too good for you to be playing in the background while we're drinking beer and eating whatever.
Yep.
And so that's cool. So you take inventory of those things, and that does kind of get you going. Or the people that hired you will say, hey, we really liked that. That was really cool. You weren't annoying. You showed up on time. That gets back to your professional musician thing that maybe I'll link it in the description when we're done. But in the show notes, I'll link it hopefully.
Cool.
But yeah, like you showed up on time. You're a nice guy. You played for the full amount of allotted time that we wanted you to play. You didn't take 8,000 breaks, which I used to never take breaks. And now I'm realizing that if I don't want my fingers to lock up, I got to take a break once in a while.
I've even found power in, it depends on the gig. If it's like a 2-hour bar gig, you can take that break and lose everyone.
Yes.
So you got to read the crowd. However, when it is just that money-making kind of weekly routine gig around town, especially when it's more of just your auditory wallpaper, like you're just decorating the space with a nice ambiance.
I tell people I'm one of the pieces of furniture.
Yeah.
That's what I am.
A break is good.
Yeah.
Because it actually gives people a time to miss it. And they can start talking loud, and then the music comes back on, and then it can just let the crowd work kind of recenter itself. So there are times that a break is actually really beneficial, I think. Because just shoving your music in someone's face for 3 hours while they're trying to drink beers and talk about March Madness, that's not always beneficial.
I just watched the TVs at the tap room.
Yeah, dude.
I literally just watched
Back in the day
TVs.
when they used to play like X Games and ski movies, I would just sit there and just watch that and be like, oh. no.
And then sometimes I'll say something like, those guys in the top pants sure are excited about that ball.
Nice.
And the cool thing is you can like, okay, have you ever watched I Think You Should Leave? It's a sketch, Tim Robinson.
Yes.
Highly recommend.
Yeah.
Have you seen the Bones Are Their Money sketch? They're kind of doing like a riff on Johnny Cash at Sun Records.
Okay,
and
I don't think I've seen this.
That's the day
one.
I shot old Robert something down. And then Tim Robinson, he came from the ground and from all over. And he starts singing these nonsense lyrics. And the Johnny Cash type guy is looking like, what are you doing? So I will start. So one of the things he sings is the bones are their money, the worms are their dollars.
That's hilarious.
And so I'll be playing a Johnny Cash song, and then I'll slip into that and just sing the worms are the bones are their money.
That's
Nobody
hilarious.
notices.
Yeah.
But I got this one guy I played at Red Tractor, and he recognized it. He went nuts. And then he was at the tap room later, and I was playing at the tap room, and he had remembered that I did the bones are their money during a Johnny Cash song. He sees me. He comes up, he slaps a 5 down on my on my case and goes, bones are their money, and goes and
just leaves.
Down. But anyway, those are fun little
hilarious.
moments you have.
You have to hold on to those highlights because, I mean, it is the highest of highs and the lowest and lows when you're putting yourself out there that vulnerably. And you've got to hold on to moments like that just to let you coast through some of the lows because, stuff like that is so fun.
You gave me a really good piece of encouragement. Last year, my mom passed away, and I had started booking these. I booked a few gigs at the Cowboy Lodge and Grill down in Gardner.
Okay.
And, again, background music, but you get some decent engagement every so often, I find.
Cool.
And I decided for some reason I'm going to play this song I wrote for my mom after she had passed away within a few days. And I played it, and I think I put a video up, and you said, man, way to be vulnerable. That was awesome. Well, the back side of that, or the flip side of that, there's this young gal from, I'll never forget, she was from Maine, and she and her fiance were doing this big national park loop, like up through Canada and then down through the U.S. And she had tears. So my mom died from Parkinson's. She had tears, this girl, just streaming down her face. And I'm like, all right. So I got done, and I said, could you please hang out for a little bit? Because I'd really like to visit with you. And she goes, yeah, sure. So I put the guitars away and just kind of piled my stuff up. And I said, I could tell that song kind of hit you. Well, what's the deal? And she said, well, we just lost my grandpa to Parkinson's, and it was horrible. And we had such a cool connection.
Cool.
To me, that's the win.
Yep.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That is the whole point of everything right there, is just to connect with people and just share the human experience in such a human way. That's really powerful. Not to minimize the depth of what you just said, but
let's go.
There
was
a professional musician, and it makes me very sad. I can't remember who it was, but he told a story where he was playing in a bar. It was kind of dead, and so he was just sitting there. He's like, all right, no one was really listening to him, so he's like, I'm going to play like 5 of my saddest songs and try and make someone cry and just see if I can do that.
Good.
And so he's sitting there and he's just playing, and finally in the far back of the bar, he sees this gal just starting to cry, and he's sitting there. He's like, yes, I did it. So he finishes his set, and then he goes up to her to console her, and he goes, like, I'm sorry if that song was, too emotional for you or anything, like, just trying to connect with her. Like, what are you going through? And she says, no, it wasn't that. It was just so sad to see a guy singing in the corner by himself with such sad music. Just threw it right back at his face.
Just the absolute best. And that is solo acoustic gigs in a nutshell.
Yeah.
You get to the end of the night, no one's there, and you could... I still want to learn Closing Time by Semisonic.
That would be good.
Because people always... I'll do a little bit of it, and the people are like, yeah, ha, ha, ha. But, you'll have like 3 people, and you're like, I don't know why I'm here. Oh, yeah, I got paid money. That's why I'm here.
Yep.
But then I think you've probably had this too. You can get into this kind of state where I think it's almost kind of meditative, because the songs I like to do, like a ton of Johnny Cash and some Waylon Jennings, and some of those songs like Highwayman by the Highwaymen. I love doing that one. And there's you get in this kind of autopilot mode, and it kind of does feel like you're just meditating. You're just up there, like putting stuff out. there's still a release going on, and it wouldn't really even matter if someone was there.
Yeah.
You'd like them to be there.
Of course.
Yeah.
But that is the coolest thing, is that flow state you can enter. It there was probably about 4 years. I mean, I just have such a analytical worry brain that I have to override sometimes, where it was about 4 years kind of as I was developing myself in the professional music world, where I was just so self-conscious about trying to get someone to even look, or to get an applause after a song, or am I too loud, or am I too this, or what can I do to get engagement? And just, I mean, I'm sitting there playing, singing, multitasking, but all that's going on in my head is, what am I doing wrong? What do I need to change? Do I need to do this? And I have too many pedals to click and change to, like, maybe this will do it. Maybe this will do it.
Yeah.
And then to finally just let all of that go and just play for yourself as if you're in a bedroom, and, you know, and you get into that meditative state where it does not matter if no one's there or 10,000 are there. You're just meditating. And then that is when the people come up to you and, I love that, or your passion or your soul or whatever. That is when it connects. And it's a impossible thing to force. But when you get to that meditative flow state, that's beautiful.
Do you know Ben Busalaki? I think that's how I say his last name.
Yeah.
He and I were talking about, he was telling me stretches that I should do, and he's like, don't do the one where you pull down, where you pull down on your fingers. Don't do that one. Like, just do this. And he was like, you should look up musician stretches. And we were having a really cool visit about that. But we were talking about a similar thing, just getting in that spot where, and he talked about, like, halfway through your set, just try to reset yourself mentally. Yep. And I never thought about that. But for me, I can kind of get it played out. Like, I still can't figure out how, I mean, it's an easy little lead part, you know, Welcome to Hard Times by Charlie Crockett.
I'd know it if I heard it.
There's this beginning that's, and it's I always get it wrong. Every time. That's how the song starts. I always get it wrong. And I'm just learning, I don't care. Sometimes I'll just hit wrong chords on purpose for a few bars after that. Just
nice. Yeah, just commit to the bit.
But yeah, exactly. But it is really cool. And I think you keyed in on a really important thing. Well, first of all, it's okay as a professional musician, and as a professional, you are a person who's getting paid to play music.
For sure.
That's the bar. Now, whether or not we act like professionals, you do, I try to. That comes to showing up on time and doing what you say you're going to do, and having, I think, a sense of honor. But yeah, being a professional is you're getting paid to cover this amount of time, and you're going to do it regardless of who's there. And you get into that spot, and it's a really cool spot to be in, I think, because you're just, all right, I'm getting money to do this.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd love it if more people were, but it's all right.
They'll come. I mean, the more you do it, they'll come. And yeah, I think that kind of what Ben was saying, that mental reset, like, give yourself a reminder halfway through. It's really powerful. And something I even used to do is write on my set list, like because sometimes too, when you're setting up your own sound and you're doing a full band, drum kit, mics, everything, and then you have to start playing right away. Yeah. I'm in this sound guy mode and not in the artist mode. And I have to take maybe 5 songs before I can kind of ease into it and relax. But then just take a moment, like, you could even write it on your set list. Like, take a moment just to, especially if you're playing outside, just like, look at the scenery, look at what you're doing. Just take it in. And just, it is a cool thing, because if you know the music well enough and you've played the songs enough, your fingers and your voice can keep going, but your mind can do whatever it wants to do.
And it's the best.
And so you can just sit there and just absorb the beauty of it all. And, you know, if there's one person tapping their foot, take that as a compliment. Like, they're still in the conversation, but they're feeling the rhythm, they're feeling the beat. You've got them. Yep. For a bar gig kind of thing. But then definitely, when if you're getting outside festival stages or something, even if it's not 1,000 people front stage, or even if there's a couple hundred, but they're just timid to come up and dance, but you have one person dancing, just stop focusing on the negative and just start to recognize the beauty of it all.
The less I think about, not that, okay, we don't want apathy to alter the quality of our playing or our performance, but I think the less you care, the more people like it. Like, not that you're phoning it in. Yeah. They're like, I'm having fun. And I don't care if anyone else is having fun.
Yep.
I'm having fun. I think that is contagious.
Yes.
But I want to make that distinction. Not like, whatever.
Yeah,
but
it's not
this is great. I love being here. And you know what? If you're not responding in a way that I would hope, I mean, I even told, last time I was at Sawdust and Steel, I said, you guys don't have to clap.
Nice. Nice.
One of my friends said, I'm really kind of glad you said that because I don't know how to be. Now, maybe that's like
interesting.
Like maybe that was kind of suicidal of me to say that. I don't know. But it just felt kind of awkward. And then like they clap for one song and then they don't clap for another one. And I'm like, I know a lot of these people. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I'm the furniture. It's fine.
Interesting.
I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe that was too crowd killy.
No, I don't think so. Read your crowd, and if you're tight with them, it doesn't really matter. But I'm trying to think who it is. Bridger Brewing here in town, and there's one other place, but every song, the staff claps.
Ah.
And that I love.
Yeah.
And I wish more bars would adopt that because it's a pretty simple thing to do. And like if you're already fronting out money to hire a musician, because that is the thing with the audience or the not even, especially when it's not even a traditional audience, they're just there for dinner or they're just there for a beer. They don't know what to do sometimes. And there might be one couple nearby that claps, but not everyone does. And so it's this weird kind of tension where people don't know how to respond. But when the staff just commits and just says, this is what we do, everyone claps after every song. And I, as an artist, I do like that.
Maybe I shouldn't do. I need to rethink my inks on that one.
Maybe.
I think I might have to.
But, I mean, whatever you're comfortable with. But it does, I don't know, it can suck the soul when you play 4 nights a week and every gig is just no response. You know, you get $1.25 in your case. And
it feels like Napoleon Dynamite. Like you're in the middle of Napoleon Dynamite. Yeah. It's like you're at school lunch. Have you had it where like, say you'll be at the tap room or maybe I haven't been able to break into the tune up and I'm not trying very hard, but one of those places and like one couple gets up and starts to dance. Sometimes.
Yeah, I've definitely had dancers in environments that it's kind of weird to have.
Like you're going to crack
I'm not
your
offended
head
by it.
No,
like,
me neither.
Hell yeah.
I said at a private gig, this guy was like, he was dipping the gal that he was dancing with, and they had a few. They were loose. They had a few libations, let's say. And I said, whoa. And he's like, what? You know, drunk people are always hyper offended.
Yep.
I'm like, you just about like that thing. And I pointed to my amp because my amp was facing me. That would hurt her head a lot.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, okay.
Okay.
But anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think I had to type some of these things down. And I don't want to keep you here longer than like we both, I don't want to destroy your brain for too long.
I could do this for hours, but I do have one appointment.
Yeah, what time?
Well, I told him 2:30, but
okay. Oh shoot.
Oh. Okay.
Do you got to get going?
I might. He just said I'm headed your way. So.
Well, yeah, okay.
I
part
apologize,
2.
brother.
No.
Yeah, let's follow up
apologies.
with part 2.
It's been an hour and 22 minutes.
Sweet.
You almost got we're going to break the length record next time.
All right.
So
next time, I'll make sure to do this without other commitments.
We didn't know.
I also showed up to the wrong house, so I was like 5 minutes behind.
Oh, that's fine. We're on musician time. This is really cool. There's other things I want to talk about, but I just want to say thanks for coming.
Dude,
this is really
Ruben.
cool.
Really fun.
Yeah.
Let's do a part 2.
Yeah, we will. I know we're going to. So, folks, check out Jacob Rountree's music. You can just type in his name, and I'll spell it out in the title and stuff, so they know how to spell it. I'll try to link to your Instagram.
Sweet.
He is a professional musician. He's a great guy. I've really enjoyed getting to know you. And just check him out. Honestly, go see him. He can cover so many bases musically. One of the most gifted guys I know. Jacob, thanks for being on.
I appreciate you so much, brother. Thank you.
Yeah, folks, thanks for listening to the Roopcast. We'll see you soon.